All right. Welcome back to the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Just kind of reflect on what we talked about. A segment when we talked about our WWE Raw review. We also talked about night 2 of the WWE Draft. Next, we're going to jump into WWE NXT Spring Breakin Week 2. Going to be pretty awesome. So let's get on into it. So it's been confirmed that the new WWE NXT champion, Trick Williams, will make his debut as champion. I don't think he's gonna find anybody, honestly, but Trick Williams, you can't really put your finger on him. He's a loose cannon, but ultimately for the best part, so it's gonna be interesting to see his promo and stuff like that. But before we jump into it, before I know I jumped the gun, and I'm completely sorry, you guys, but I'm gonna have to interrupt this and talk about the tips and donations link. I want to hear you guys talk. I want to, we have to mention this so, you guys feel comfortable to talk to your boy over here. Like, don't just leave me all by myself. I'm just kidding. So we get a number of questions from viewers like you that come in during the show. So to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask you guys to use the tips and donations link at the gsmcpodcast.net with your questions. This puts your questions up on top so I can see it. Tell me what you like. Tell me what you don't like. Tell me what you want to talk about as an audience in terms of wrestling. Give me your opinions. Maybe think of it. Give me a couple of, shots. Give me a couple of choices. Give me a couple of recommendations in terms of like segment ideas that you guys want to hear, that you guys want to talk about. So definitely, guys, remember, just positive peace, love, and positivity really helps the show. Give us a positive review. Again, the link is the GSMC podcast.net. All right. So, make sure y'all do that and love the peace, love, and positivity that you guys want to show me. But ultimately, it's time to move on. What is going on? There we go. We're NXT preview. Like I said, Trick Williams is going to make his way. Also, we have Tyson DuPont and Tyreek Igwe set to make their WWE NXT debut against the OC, which is Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows tonight. Also, Thea Hale finally gets her hands on Jacy Jayne. Jacy Jayne kind of pulled Thea Hale away from the university, and not for the better part, not for the better part, but ultimately, it was kind of like a form of manipulation that Jacy Jayne kind of had over Thea Hale, kind of took advantage of her, kind of preyed on the weak, the vulnerable kind of thing, and it's time for Jacy Jayne to get some payback. She has it coming. So now, and then also we have, we're just going to talk about, just kind of hit a little bit about just some of the people that were drafted from NXT. They were kind of shown in terms of like conversations and stuff like that, in terms of like just, I don't know, just about everything. So, like I said, you saw Ilya Dragunov kind of go in the first round. He seemed pretty excited. And also, you kind of have Lyra Valkyrie, who got drafted to WWE Raw. She's going to make a huge impact over there. She's going to actually completely kill it. She was 165 days into her title run, and she also beat the man Becky Lynch. So her coming to WWE Raw is not just like your average, ordinary. What is her Becky Lynch's book? Your average girl, but it's going to be pretty badass. Next, you saw Blair Davenport was, she was also drafted to WWE Raw. Super excited. She was brought to tears, which brought me to tears. No, I'm just kidding. I wasn't crying. You were crying. But anyways, so she said she didn't really fit anywhere else in her career types. Wrestling was kind of like her thing. She's like I said, she's very emotional and she's ready to show SmackDown what makes her unique, why she's Blair Davenport. So honestly, 110%. She's going to be dope. It's going to be cool as hell. And of course, like I said, you kind of have Dijak kind of coming into Monday Night Raw. Once again, drafted, like he represented the red brand pretty darn well in the draft. He was wearing a red shirt, had red sunglasses. He was just ready. Ready. He was a red. You guys got that? Wasn't that very punny of me? I'm just kidding. No. But he's a good superstar. He's gonna do really, really well in the WWE. So I don't know. Should be pretty darn exciting to see what they decide to do with Dijak. But ultimately, I feel like He's going to do his thing. And then now you have Kiana James. Kiana James was also drafted to WWE Raw. It looks like WWE Raw is kind of, clearing out some headway just to kind of get these people started from NXT, which is kind of smart, I feel like, from Paul Levesque. So ultimately, good choice. Good choice. She's going to be an amazing superstar. She's going to definitely be knocking on the door in terms of like if Liv Morgan comes out the champion at Backlash, or perhaps Becky Lynch retained the man. So, good for her. Carmelo Hayes, absolutely. I don't even really have to say much about this guy. This guy's impressive as hell. Definitely going to be he's going to be the future of the WWE. I can see him holding a main card title like the WWE Undisputed Championship or perhaps the WWE World's Heavyweight Championship. He kind of reminds me of like a young Seth Rollins, where honestly, in Money in the Bank, it wouldn't surprise me if this guy takes it. Wouldn't surprise me if Carmelo Hayes takes the Money in the Bank this year at the pay-per-view, but I don't know. Oh, like I said, what do I know? So, yeah. But ultimately, NXT, Spring Breakin going towards going to be pretty badass. It's going to be pretty cool. So Ava came out during the draft and mentioned that NXT is kind of like a family, and you kind of have to, you kind of have to, not compensate, sympathize with the situation because WWE NXT is not like WWE Raw. They're not like WWE SmackDown. These are superstars that perform at the same center together. They travel together, kind of more of like a family kind of aspect to it, where they're like coworkers. Imagine being with your favorite coworker at your job right now, and imagine they leave, they get promoted, and they just leave you, and you're like, oh, like it's sad. It kind of sucks. So I thought that was kind of cool how Ava was able to level with the fans, the audience, and just people all around the world watching the WWE draft night too, and just kind of get us to feel the way they're feeling. Like, because a lot of the times we don't do that. A lot of the times we don't put ourselves in their shoes because, they're wrestlers. They're making millions of dollars. They're fine. Like, whatever. Who cares? But these guys really have a connection together. These guys are they're family. They're family. So good job for Ava to kind of do that. That are very emotional. So I thought that was pretty bad. That togetherness, absolutely pretty cool. Another thing that I kind of want to talk about real quick was that obviously we've kind of had situations where WWE NXT superstars coming up was kind of like a bad thing. So Triple H, my man, if you're watching right now, you have to make sure you don't fall into the bad way that kind of Vince McMahon handled the WWE NXT superstars. Obviously, you kind of have Candice LeRae and Johnny Gargano who made it up to the main roster. They didn't really do much with them. Two talented superstars that came up, champions in their own rights. They didn't do anything with them. So make sure if you're going to bring these people up, you're bringing them up for a reason, not just to be like squash matches, not just to kind of like just pander to the crowd, or not just to kind of make these guys kind of like floaters, like, you know what I mean? And next we have Aleister Black, former WWE NXT World Champion. Another kind of failed thing that WWE Creative failed this guy. He was so great. He made it onto the Raw roster. Everybody was so excited, but he didn't really make it to just anything, man. It's kind of sad. Once again, we're going to talk about Shayna Baszler. Love talking about Shayna Baszler. Very talented. One of my favorite WWE women's wrestlers. But WWE also failed her too. I don't know who was in charge of creative, but definitely another example of WWE NXT stars that make it up to the big times, and they don't really know what the hell to do with them. So ultimately, Paul Levesque knows what he's doing. Ultimately, he has a plan. Ultimately, he has like storylines and potential promotions. So, yeah. Next, we have Indy Hartwell. Indy Hartwell came straight up out of the WWE NXT as the WWE Women's NXT Champion. Made it to the main brand, and much like everybody else, they didn't do crap with her. They kind of just kept her floating. Yeah, you can win a couple matches on the main card, but ultimately we want you to lose against people like Nia Jax. We want you to lose against people like Becky Lynch. We want you to lose against people like Charlotte Flair. Like just totally like just like them before they can even make a name for themselves. You just bury them. Bury them. And that's kind of been the reason why NXT stars, when they get drafted, I feel like they're kind of like a little scared and they're like, oh crap. Like, is this gonna happen to me? But also Ember Moon. I love Ember Moon. Now she's on Ring of Honor. the best Ring of Honor world champion, world women's champion in the world in history. Good for her. Love that. Athena, she's my girl, man. She's an amazing wrestler. Hopefully, she makes it back to the WWE. Next, we're going to talk about Andrade. Andrade was really hot coming out of the WWE NXT roster. He was a WWE NXT World Champion, but ultimately he made it onto the main roster. It didn't really happen for him, not at all. They didn't even give him like an Intercontinental Championship run. Did he make a United States Championship run? I'm not too sure, but it wouldn't surprise me if they didn't, because back then the WWE didn't know what the hell they were doing. So with these NXT superstars. Next, we're going to talk about Keith Lee, of course, the man. Missing Keith Lee on the WWE. He's enlisted in the AEW roster, but I believe he's out with an injury right now. So this is just another example of why these WWE NXT stars were kind of promised glory, being drafted to Raw and SmackDown when they, obviously night 1, night 2, back in the day when they got drafted, it was like, oh my God, you got drafted, like that's so cool. And then you saw the crowd, then you were in a crowd with your peers and they were crying with you. And like, congratulations, man, you made it to the top, you made it to the summit. Only to find out that summit was made of, just shattered rocks, fiberglass, and then you just fell, fell off that cliff of relevancy in terms of the WWE wrestling world. So, obviously, sad to say, but here at the GSMC Wrestling Laureate Podcast, we give you guys the truth, nothing but the truth. So help me God. So I had, got to do your due diligence here and just warn WWE NXT superstars of what exactly you're getting into. And all right, so moving on, we have our first ever NXT Underground Women's match between Natalya and Lola Vice. Natalia's corner is going to consist of Carmen Petrovic, and also Vice's corner is going to consist of Shayna Baszler, former MMA, former UFC, bantamweight. I think it was bantamweight competitor or featherweight. So I think that's pretty cool. Also, you're going to have Rich Holland finally address his demons and fight against Sean Spears tonight. And then you also have Oba Femi against the Viking Raider Ivar for the NXT North American World Championship. Kind of like what they said, and I feel like the reason why they didn't have rosters locked until May 6th was because I think something big's going to happen here. And they said it themselves. I think it was Michael Cole. Michael Cole said it on WWE Raw that whoever wins, they take the other person's place. I can see Ivar. Maybe I want to see Ivar. Maybe I want to see Ivar become the new North American champion. And then you would see Oba Femi just inserted into the Raw roster because Ivar was drafted by WWE Raw on this past episode of Monday Night Raw. So imagine that. Imagine that you walk into Raw next week. You have a new guy in Oba Femi coming in, and it's just absolutely insane. And, it would create for some drama. Absolutely. It would create for some drama. So, I'm not trying to play spoiler. Obviously I'm not a mind reader, but it would be kind of cool to see this happen. I would love to see this happen. And then just kind of finish it off, we have our Supersonic duo. They're going to fight the AOP for the NXT World Tag Team titles. Once again, AOP, I see no reason why they made a debut to WWE NXT if they weren't going to represent the brand. So I think ultimately they're going to do the same damn thing. You're going to see Axiom and Nathan Frazier make it onto the WWE Raw roster, ultimately taking the place of AOP, which was drafted once again on Monday Night Raw on the WWE Draft Night 2. So it's not going to surprise me if that happens. Hopefully it won't surprise you guys. Hopefully I'm giving you guys all the cool factoids. But yeah. So hey guys, don't go anywhere. We have a pretty exciting segment 3 coming up. We have failed WWE tag team breakups. These superstars broke up from their tag teams. One of them won, the other one lost, or perhaps maybe both of them lost. Hey, stay tuned.